Pastor Nicholas House from Baptist Church of Douglas Park. I want to let you know where I stand on the criminal justice reform in this country. Where I stand on criminal justice reform is prison sentencing reform, because I support the sentencing reform and criminal justice reform from Democrat Cory Booker in the United States Senate and the Illinois Civil Bill that was sponsored by people like Deshaun Ford. More jobs available for ex-offenders when they are released from prison. People, because instead of them have to end up in places like their probation officer send their clients to places like Pacific Guard Mission without a strategy or any type of weak economic strategy that keep them there for years and years. Employers need to take risks and hire ex-offenders and juveniles in Chicago and Illinois, so people easily get themselves back on their feet. Almost like what CTA do with the CTA Second Chance program, that have people able to give ex-offenders and juveniles second chance and an opportunity to get themselves back on track. The computer employment program do not hire people or judge based on their criminal background checks, and do not hire based on credit background checks. People that have like a bad credit should be able to allow to get good paying jobs to help build up their credit, not having people get hired by bad credit and they have to deal with that bad credit burden the rest of their life, almost the rest of their life. They should be allowed to have some type of opportunity to build up their credit and their credit score so they can live the American dream. I oppose the death penalty because people that got the death penalty in the past, I found from sources that the people that got the death penalty in the past were innocent 10, 20 years later, and then no family does not get a settlement from the government or anything. So I oppose the death penalty. That's like Bernie Sanders said the same thing. That's why he supports the death penalty because it's like he said people that get the death penalty are found that they are innocent years later, and ex-offenders deserve the right to apply for federal student loans and Pell Grants to pay for college. Right now, if you are an ex-offender, you got a criminal background, you cannot get a Pell Grant or MAP grant like that. I believe like that to play for college. That's why people that are ex-offenders, they end up in jail, back and forth, in and out of prison, but they don't have they're not given the opportunity to turn their life around. I believe that's not right, and that needs to change in the U.S. Department of Education. Same thing, not just for the Department of Education, but at a national level as well. And the one reason why I want to say about Bernie Sanders' healthcare plan, the reason why he wanted to expand Medicare for all for young people, because states with Republican governors and legislatures will not expand Medicaid to like people that need healthcare, affordable healthcare, like people like healthcare, like for healthcare, like people like that's why he wants to expand Medicare for all, so people don't have to depend, so people that live in these states, Republican red states, don't have to worry about them being underinsured or uninsured. They can be able to provide, they be able to like apply for Medicare to the federal government to get the health care and prescription drugs that they need so we can increase the percentage from 90% under the Affordable Care Act to 100% under the Affordable Care Act. That's why I believe that's what Bernie Sanders is advocating for right now, is to make healthcare available and a right to all Americans, including the Americans that live in red states with Republican governors, Republican legislatures that won't expand healthcare to their state residents that doesn't have healthcare. And another thing issue I plan to talk about is social services in the church is open to all ex-offenders and juveniles, because it gives people like ex-offender juveniles and the opportunity to get out of prison or on parole to apply for to get their life back on track, and they deserve the opportunity. I stood and I continue to stand for that today in this country, not just for this country, but in other countries like abroad. And ex-offender, and another issue I plan to talk about is healthcare. Is what needs to be done on help preventing homelessness and poverty. It needs to be good paying jobs close to home in neighborhoods. Small business jobs in neighborhoods need to be close to home for people to be walking distance from their houses. People in Chicago travel 25 to 45 minutes to jobs every day based on accurate statistics. If you provide jobs close to the home, transportation will not be a serious issue for homelessness and people that's in poverty. They can live right up the street from their houses or apartments, people also, Chicago residents need access to affordable housing. That's why the church is on track in building affordable housing from grants for affordable housing in Chicago that could allow people pay $200 a month to provide affordable housing for homelessness and people in poverty, people and single parents that's living in poverty today. Provide more mental health clinics in Chicago. I oppose what Myron Emanuel did when he closed mental health clinics in Chicago, that people that seriously need mental health treatment. That needs to change today. I also support a elected school board that's opposed by Rahm Emanuel today, because the Chicago public schools are corrupt, and they not how they was back when I was in high school and grammar school, and people used that school like that. Now they corrupt more. Chicago public schools are on probation because of academic and school standards. They fail to meet school standards. We need to be hiring teachers, not firing teachers. We need to be make sure it's safer for children to go to school every day. Like what the main statistics is for Chicago public schools, there's more children do not feel safe in their own neighborhood going back and forth to school. That needs to change in Chicago right now, and put incentives in place by city council or the state to make sure schools and children are safe going to school every day. We need to make sure another issue that's critical is crime in this country. Is taking an issue on crime in this country. We need to make sure that people have the opportunity, if possible, to reduce crime in neighborhoods in Chicago, not increase it. We need to make sure it's social services, people have access to education, affordable health care, and people can survive financially. And I believe that white Caucasians today need to stop looking down on these African Americans like they're nobodies. That needs to change today. We need to make sure African Americans have the opportunity to succeed, like the areas like Inglewood and Chatham, Roseland, and other high violent areas in Chicago. That not need to happen just in Chicago. That needs to happen in places like high poverty black communities, like in places like Philadelphia and across the South. That's why I stood up and praised people that Pastor Pickney that died in the South Carolina church shooting, because I believe it was wrong and immoral what that person had done to kill those 9 people in Chicago in the South Carolina church shooting. We need changes in our criminal justice system today. And I want to say thank you, and I want to say thanks to the service to our veterans today. And I want to say thank you to our servicemen and women that serve in our country overseas. And I want to say thank you for our veterans from sacrificing their lives to defend this country from terrorism. And I want to say too that this country is a land of opportunity, and everybody in this country deserves land opportunity. This country belongs to all of us, not just for the Caucasians in this country. This country belongs to all of us, not just for Caucasian and looking down on us African Americans like we nobody. That's why more African Americans need to step up and come together and say enough is enough, and say this country and stand up for our constitutional rights that this country belongs to all of us, not just for the top 1% and white Caucasians. Thank you, and God bless America.